Councilmember Hurtado. I represent District 1, and I am one of the coordinators and organizers of this today's event, along with Mia and Karina, that have been very helpful in putting this event together and having our participants in the art exhibit here today that you guys have. And thank you for all our volunteers from our harvest, Arya, our poets, Reza and Sophia. Thank you so much for being here, and all our artists that participated this month in celebrating Women's History Month. I appreciate you guys being here today, and to start off, we'll begin with our poetry readers. And you know, it's very important to highlight the hard work that women do this day, and what we've overcome the past years. And I'm just really appreciative. I really appreciate you guys. The work that women do out there, and the challenges that we face are many. And it's good to stick together and show support for one another and help each other and challenges that we may face. So thank you for being here this evening, and we're going to start off with our first performer, Reza.
Sorry, thought I had a microphone and a podium. Usually I get to have a microphone and a podium. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm going to do a piece. I'm going to do poetry that might be a little different than what you're used to. And I'm going to talk about activism. I'm going to talk about why it's important for people to get involved and people to challenge injustices wherever they are. And for me, I honor women. I honor those ladies. I honor women throughout history that have sacrificed themselves for us so that we could have the right to stand, so we could have the right to vote, so that we could have the right to make a difference in our community. So while the poem is not exclusively about women, I do target and talk about women in the sense that this is the way we move forward. So just bear with me, I guess. I'm a passionate activist. My classification is Islamicist, but a stark contrast against that Osama was. The activist clamor defeats the chatter of pacifists, the vulnerable who sticking their necks out, but that's the risk. Investigative reporter, you would think that I was powerless, but I afflict the comfortable and I comfort the afflicted. Challenging damages, invoking on countries like savages. No more we're for freedom or justice than a Baptist was. Running up in the churches and killing the blacks in them. Or running in temples where the Sikhs are just practicing. Killing off as many Jews that you can manage, and killing off and directing your attention to the Muslims in New Zealand. All of the outbursts are the same of supremacist ideologies that drive patriarchal systems and the devilish strategies, forgetting the average. No love for the man or his family because they've mastered them and shattered them. And on the home front, no one on their right mind would back us up unless we forgot God, worshiped you, deceived who our master was. And those with average intelligence, you've captured their souls with hype goals of cash, gold, and platinum. Invested their brains with ignorance and intoxicants, glorifying hatred and flags and racism through taxes and powers internationally cashing in. Without asking, we tax, and then we spend cash on attacking them to accept their power in their food that we ration it. Then the children will be rash with hunger, disease, and backwardness. As for this attack on our principles, we've asked for it. Our blatant disregard for human life and our lack of respect. The fact of the matter is that we've been acting like savages. We laugh at disease and oppression, and we've contracted it. Sat at some lectures by Shaitan and his assistants. Deceived by the lies, now we've asked for his assistance. And that's how our country attained all its affluence, combated the indigenous, and we enslaved all the Africans. Patriotism was the fuel, exchanging morality for ego and nationalism, exploiting the weak. That's the action of capitalists. Iraq was the half of it. Directed attacks at all those who spoke Arabic, but not all of us Americans sharing the criminal action and the attemptings to revive the destinies manifest, destroying our streets with some crack and some cannabis, diluting the minds of the young and intelligent, implanting their brains with thoughts of futures they cannot win, and taking the time so that they burn it on the internet. And when some real thought emerges to challenge the system, then we shatter it by infiltrating their campaigns, watering it down and diluting them. diluting them. I mean, just look at our history and look how how you did on the shores of Panama and all the wars international, the Haitian waters and our Iranian battling, the chemical weapons that we supplied to Saddam, and in hopes of bringing in the hearts of so many men, we left so many men who were lost to oblivion. Inspecting our library records and magazines, we saw something we don't like, then we mark it with an asterisk. But why do we lack the details of the past? And then what comes up after in the intent of our chancellors, our president, our congressmen, our dictators and prime ministers, the ministers, the preachers, priests and leadership characters, all have to ask themselves to support all the masses, and how do they act to avoid all the backlash and embarrassing past, and to mention the whole story in carelessness. We're gonna find the truth even if it's headed in crevices, chipping away at society's callousness until they bleed and shed tears for the fear of the powerless. Directly we challenge the acts of the transgressors to set our kids' path to honor our ancestors. We're honoring women who fought for this, who stand for the challenges to fight for our future and the freedom and passion, and we're seeing them locally and we're seeing them nationally, standing for justice and standing in activism, making a difference because they're tired of the lack of the system addressing the issues that we need to be highlighting, like socioeconomic equality in the environment, the tragic breakdown and the lack of the family. The women who lead us are the hope for a latter day when love and care for humanity are the tone of our measurement. In the spirit of heroines decorating our past, and in the spirit of Coretta, and in the spirit of Harriet, the spirit of Dolores, and the spirit of Shabazz, and all those women who gave their life for us, I came here tonight to do nothing but thanking them. That's the passion of tactics of activists, speaking in parables and smashing the class system.
This one, I came up with the title 10 minutes ago. It's called American Dream. Okay. So my little sister says people should be equal because we're all the same. We have the same heart. She is so young, she cannot imagine the world as it is. She is so young that when her uncle tells his son to suck it up, she asks what it is. She is so young that she thinks the bad guys exist only in stories. She doesn't know that sometimes the dragons are the kings and that knights have other intentions. She is so young, she thinks the failure of equality is a misapplication aberration now written in the design of our zip codes, textbooks, and constitution. All men are created equal until they decided you were not a man. Consent of the governed, except they never asked me. We hold these truths to be self-evident, except can it ever be the truth if there are lies by omission? She is so young, but maybe I am too old. The America she knows is a nation that doesn't exist. It is a nation that only children know, where platitudes are promises, where people go to chase their dream, not to run away from the nightmare at their home. She quotes Martin Luther King, "I have a dream that my children," but it was never a dream to them. When she asks, why do women get paid less? Why are the police mean? Why do they make bad mistakes? I explain, you are a citizen of a nation that doesn't exist yet, but it will be if we make it.
Councilmember Hurtado, picking up the baton and running with it, something your sister started, and it's great to see, this still flourish. And again, thank you too for coming and reading. I mean, I've lived in Sanger a long time, and I don't think I've ever had people come up and read poetry. And you know what, it was very, very nice to hear, different points of views and the way you guys write things so eloquently, because I don't. But again, thank you all for coming and reading the poetry for us. It was awesome. And also, listening to the harp. I'm going to go back out.
UC Davis. Wow. You graduated from UC Davis and she
glorious occasion for Women's History Month. And I have the pleasure of representing a female senator as well for the Sanger area, so we're very proud to be here, and we want to thank you all for your hard work and your volunteerism and your beautiful art that you showcased outside. So thank you all, and if you can come in that order and receive your certificate, and we'll line up at the top for a picture as well.